Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to Center Stage. Hey, I want to take a quick moment of silence for the victims and the families of the recent, Hamas attacks over in Israel. I do think this is important to bring the victims and their families and reunite them back. So just a quick moment of silence for all those involved. Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate all of you so far who have subscribed to the channel. I believe there are two new subscribers, so that brings the total up to four. So to all four of you who are subscribed, I thank you very much for that, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. In today's episode, we are going to take a look at a series of theatrical reviews on Broadway known as the Ziegfeld Follies. Now, in order to talk about the Follies, it's best to get an understanding of movies and musicals that involve the Follies. There's not many movies, I would say. Movie musicals, yes. Those would be Gypsy, 9, 42nd Street, believe it or not, Phantom of the Opera, Follies, and Anything Goes. The Follies themselves were designed to encompass many different genres, such as classical Broadway, opera, and dance. In my opinion, the best forms of entertainment in today's world that still encompass what the Follies were are both Cirque du Soleil and the Radio City Rockettes. Both of these shows are basically revues with bigger-than-life sets and costumes, with Cirque du Soleil being more dramatic with in-your-face stunts and an explosion of imagination, whereas the Rockettes still keep the classic art of dance at the forefront, but doing it Follies style, where every chorus girl is still in unison with each dance number, also using different genres of classical, hip-hop, and jazz. Oh, and her use of amazing costumes and sets to immerse you in the world of dance. So, where to begin? Well, from 1907 to 1931, a series of elaborate revues were staged on Broadway in what we now know as the Ziegfeld Follies. Inspired by the Folies Bergère of Paris, the Follies were pretty much conceived by Florence Ziegfeld Jr., with the producing titans Law and Erlinger. Florence Ziegfeld was born in Chicago in 1867 to Rosalie and Edward Ziegfeld, both immigrants of Belgium and Germany. In Florence's early years, he helped his father's nightclub, the Trocadero Vaudevilles, by managing the German bodybuilder and strongman, Mr. Eugene Sandow. While on a trip to Europe, Florence would meet then Polish-French singer Anna Held. It was Held who had proposed the idea that Ziegfeld create an imitation of the Parisian Folies Bergère on Broadway. The Follies were basically known as stage spectaculars with elaborate sets and costumes, as well as featuring choreographed songs by Irving Berlin, George Gershwin, and Jerome Kern. The Follies also featured the staple of the production itself, the Ziegfeld Girls, an all-female chorus of dancers who wore elaborate costumes, performing in perfect synchronization. The Radio City Rockettes are today the embodiment of this famous line of female dancers. The Ziegfeld Follies would feature many well-known performers, such as Fanny Brice, Bob Hope, Gypsy Rose Lee, whose memoir would be turned into the musical Gypsy, W.C. Fields, B. Arthur, who is best known for playing Dorothy on The Golden Girls, the father of theatrical jazz dance, Mr. Jack Cole, Burt Williams, and Will Rogers. Now, in order to house such an elaborate production, Ziegfeld built a 1,600-seat theater known as the Ziegfeld Theater at a cost of $2.5 million, which in today's money would equal over $35 million. The designers, Joseph Urban and Thomas W. Lamb, chose an egg-shaped auditorium with the stage at the narrow end and a huge medieval-style mural covering the walls and ceiling. The theater would open its doors in 1927, with the first production, Rio Rita, running for 500 performances, and followed by Showboat, the first collaboration between Ziegfeld, Joseph Urban, and composer Jerome Kern. During the stock market crash of 1929, Ziegfeld began losing much of his money and staged a 1932 revival of Showboat to help bring in some cash flow. That same year, he would bring the stars of Follies to CBS Radio in the Ziegfeld Follies of the Air. In 1936, 4 years after Ziegfeld's death, MGM would release a semi-biographical film title called The Great Ziegfeld. Nominated for 7 Academy Awards, the film would take Oscars for Best Picture, Best Actress, and Best Dance Direction for the dance number, A Pretty Girl is Like a Melody, one of the most famous musical scenes ever filmed. The Great Ziegfeld would be MGM's most expensive film production, recouping its original expense at twice the cost when it premiered. If you ever seen Stephen Sondheim's musical Follies, then you would know the show takes place at a reunion of showgirls from the Weissman Follies, a fictional revue inspired by none other than the Ziegfeld Follies. The musical includes many songs and production numbers that evoke the types of entertainment featured in the original Ziegfeld Follies and others of the era. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to today's video. If you enjoyed this, please comment on what you liked or disliked. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to see other videos like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, that's a wrap.